Hello, everybody, and welcome to the What's On podcast, episode 18, I think it is. So, it has been a good few months since the last episode. I think about 6. I think the last one put out was in April. And a few things have changed. Of course, obviously the COVID situation caused like the break. Unable to do like this discussion type of thing that did prior to. So at the minute, it's going to change the format up a little bit. It's just going to be me and my musings, really, on various topics, because still got stuff to natter about, so the nattering shall commence again. But yeah, hopefully we'll get back to a situation where we can do discussions again. And got to see how this goes first, see if we can actually do something like this. But starting off, just wanted to go into some like movies going into 2021 because we had like so much to look forward to this year, and like a lot of things obviously got delayed, and so a lot of movies that weren't meant to come out this year has obviously been pushed back to 2021, potentially further because obviously we don't know how the situation is going to develop. But just wanted to pick a few out that hopefully some stuff to look forward to for next year, because hopefully it should be a packed year next year. But one thing that was the main thing for idea for this is that James Bond got pushed back. No Time to Die, Craig's last movie, that got pushed back to next year, which was like a big one. Like he calls like the cinemas, or it seems to have a big influence on the cinemas to having closed. Like Cineworld, I think here in the UK, and I think in America also. Like there's not that big commercial films that now are drawing potential customers into the cinemas. So now that that's moved, that like had a big influence on closing the cinemas. So, but that one was a big one this year, and going into next year, it's still going to be a big one because obviously it's Craig's final movie, and he's done like Casino Royale. What is it? Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, Skyfall, Spectre, and now this is going to be his 5th one. I enjoyed all 5 of them to various degrees. I still think like Casino Royale is the best one that he's done. Just the whole story was a lot better. I think like Quantum of Solace didn't stand up to Casino Royale. I enjoy Skyfall. I think that's the second best of the series up to now. And Spectre. I think Spectre could have been a lot better. I think Spectre underutilized Christopher Waltz as the villain, because obviously he was like the big villain who's meant to have been managing this whole series of events for the last 4 films, as well as being Blofeld, which was like the key antagonist from, or key villain from, like the olden Bond films, like brought back into the modern day. But I think they underutilized him. I think they could have done a lot more with him, because he's just such a great actor. If you've just seen him in like Inglourious Bastards and similar, and of course like Django, I think they could have done a lot more, and it could have been a lot better film. But going into No Time to Die, I think obviously going to send it off with a bang because it's his last performance, as well as Rami Malek, who's obviously an amazing actor who's gone leaps and bounds. Like I first saw him in Mr. Robot, which is amazing, and his performance in that was amazing as well. And then going into it, he also did, what did he win? He won the Oscar for some Best Actor thing last year for his performances. Freddie Mercury, I think. Oh, Bohemian Rhapsody, that's what it was. So yeah, he's just coming and leaping around, and I'm really excited to see his performance as, what's he called? Safin. Going into the next film, it looks interesting, and hopefully it's a good movie to end on. I also think for the ideas for next Bond, because I've heard, like, obviously there's always rumours going around, like Idris Elba was a big one for a long period of time, but I think that was a few years ago now, so might not be as likely. But then another more recent one was Tom Hardy, which, although he's an incredible actor, I think my opinion is it should be someone relatively unknown. And I have this thinking because of like a similar, not similar movie, but there's a movie that we talked about on the podcast actually, 1917, which was a war movie centered around two soldiers, and both actors who played the soldiers were relatively unknown. One of them had a part in Game of Thrones, but the age difference, like I didn't even recognize him, and I'd seen Game of Thrones, like, and that was intended by the director because when it's a like a recognizable actor, like it could take you out the experience. Like in the film, it was like those two actors were the soldiers because we didn't see him as anything else. But like if Tom Holland, for example, was like the main actor, you would see him first as Tom Holland, and then see the performance. And I think that could have be similar if someone like Tom Hardy did the role of Bond. He would do an amazing performance, but you would see Tom Hardy and then you would see James Bond. It's what I think. So I think it should be someone who's relatively unknown. um, yeah, just yeah, because I don't think at least I can't really talk too much about Craig because back then I wasn't like it was 12 years ago, and I wasn't really paying much attention to it all. But I think that's the way to do it. But going into the next one, another one. This one's a little bit of a weird one because it's one I just sort of want to check out, even though I'm not hugely passionate about the film series, which is Spiral, which is a sequel or part of the same franchise as the Saw films, like the horror trap films. But like I say, I was never hugely passionate about the films, but I'm interested in where they go with it because they've got like Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson, like playing the main parts, and then continuing on. Like I watched the most recent one, Jigsaw. I also found it surprising that after like 6 films of I can't remember the actor's name who played John Kramer. I can't remember. But like been dead long ago, but they've still managed to bring out this far, and don't know. It's just a random choice, really, but it's one that I'm interested in how they're gonna keep it going. But like I say, not hugely passionate, just genuine interest. Next big one we'll probably say is the Suicide Squad, by James Gunn, which I'm excited for because I know James Gunn's an amazing director, and I had a look at the casting, and there is a huge amount of not just cast members, but like actual Suicide Squad members. There's like, because in the previous film there's like 6, now there's like 10 or more, and I think it's only Margot Robbie and the actor who played Captain Boomerang are reprising the roles, and Amanda Waller as well, and the soldier who led the group as well. But like everyone else is different. Like Idris Elba mentioned a minute ago, he's in it, but he's not. Initially, I think he was playing Deadshot, who was Will Smith's character in the first film, but they've changed it now to someone called Bloodsport or something, so that he's got the opportunity to reprise the role at least points. But pretty much all the characters in it are at least characters I'm not very well aware of. It should be interesting, like bringing new characters into the screen. Like I think like there's one called Peacemaker. I think that's played by John Cena, the wrestler. Polka Dot Man, I think. Weasel, and like several others. Just I think it could be if it's all put together right, of course. Which being the director that he is, probably can do it. But it should be interesting because it's going to be something totally far apart from like expectations. It's like you can go into a Batman film and go, it's a different actor, but you've pretty much got an idea of going on, or Superman movie, or anything of like something that's done regular. But like this one's like just coming out of left field. It's like, okay, here's tons of characters that you don't know about in a universe that you're sort of aware of, because of like Justice League and DC and even Marvel to an extent. Like like the superhero kind of formula kind of thing, but this one I think could come out of left field a little bit, and be an interesting one. And then obviously on top of that, when he's done with that, he goes on to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, hopefully. I think it's been confirmed, but I don't know how long that will take actually. But yeah, that's another one that's going good. Another weird one after that is Uncharted, which for those who don't know, Uncharted is a game series by Naughty Dog game developers or studio, and it's a bit like Indiana Jones, or maybe like Tomb Raider kind of thing. This guy Nathan Drake who goes out and finds treasure in various places, and this is a weird one because although it's good that it's getting a movie because the series is great, but the games themselves are stories, and they're like interactive stories. So you are you're playing through this story with action scenes and obviously stuff that's like just gaming, like shooting and all this and all that. But the thing that wraps all around is it is a story shown through the gaming experience. And so I've always thought it never really needed a movie because it would just be that, just taking that away and just watching, which I don't think, like that immersive experience of gaming and being the character within the story, like adds to it. So I'm not sure how much they can add. I could be wrong. Like they obviously like with movies, the special effects is the live action, which obviously has a different impact. New story, of course. Like they can't be doing. Well, they're doing like a prequel to the like gaming series, like when he's younger and all that. So it's gonna be a completely new story. So that would be good. That's gonna be good, hopefully. But the actors are gonna play is Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, as the younger Nathan Drake, and Mark Wahlberg as Sullivan. And those who know the Uncharted series, I don't know if obviously you can never know until you see the performance, but like Sullivan's like this laid back old guy who's got a cigar and always like chilled back, and whenever I've seen like Mark Wahlberg and things, he's very like intense. He's an action figure, actor, does all this sort of all that. So obviously it's a younger Sullivan, so that might be the way they're going about with it, or they might just be taking their own take on it. But I think that's a, you can't really say it's slightly odd casting choice because obviously from an outside perspective you don't know what route they're gonna go down with it. But I don't know. It seems a weird one considering what you normally see Mark Wahlberg as. And then I don't know. I don't think he's been released what he's doing, but Antonio Banderas, he's another actor I like. Obviously Mask of Zorro or like Shrek. I don't know what he is, but I enjoy his performances. So I think he'll be good in it. But yeah, I think it'll be one that I'll check out, but it's also one that's I don't know whether it really needed. Then again, we won't know that until it comes out. Although I would recommend there's an actor called Thomas Fillion, and he made a proper like YouTube, like proper short film, like 15-minute film on YouTube for like live action, and that looks decent. And if they can do any sort of replication of that online movie in the actual like feature length film, it'd be amazing. But yeah, I'd recommend checking that out. If you go on YouTube, put in like Uncharted, I think it's like fan or Thomas Fillion Uncharted film, which is really good. What else have we got? Oh yeah, I've done like Spider-Man / Marvel because Spider-Man 3 is meant to be coming out next year. Which the Spider-Man films that have come out recently, that Homecoming and Far From Home, have been amazing. Like Tom Holland's an amazing actor for Spider-Man, and obviously in all the other movies he's been in with Avengers and Civil War and everything. I did like Maguire's Spider-Man as well, actually. But I think like Holland all encompasses like the character, I think. Although I've got to say, I think still Spider-Man 2 with Maguire is probably the best Spider-Man that's been made yet. Obviously Holland's still got time, but that's my opinion. And then it's going to be interesting going into the third one because like Far From Home finished with him being unveiled kind of thing. Unveiled. unmasked might be a better word. um, so it's gonna be interesting how they go down that, as well as how they go down like with the whole universe thing with like, because obviously it's not just the cinematic universe, it's the Sony Marvel things that obviously still kick off to this day. Because I used to know, like last time we talked about this, I was keeping track of it, so I knew what the current situation was. But I know they were still like kicking off about which movies he could be used in, which movies he could be shared in. Is this going to be the last one that's going to be part of the Marvel universe, or it's going to be separate? Because I think last time we talked about it, it was like they were going to do like a separate Sony Spider Verse, which is going to be impacted by like the Marvel verse, and then but the Marvel Cinematic Universe is just going to do its own thing with Spider-Man, and it's not going to pay attention to anything that happens in the Sony universe. But I need to have a gander, see if anything's changed in that regard. But speaking about like the Marvel universe overall, because I think it's been several months since anything Marvel's been released, of course, because cinemas have been closed and such like. But it's also going to be interesting where they're going to go. It seems where they are going is a lot of variety, a lot more like differentiation, a lot of diversity, mathematics. So they've got the Black Widow movie that's coming out next year. They've got the Eternals, I think, which is more like mythic stuff and such like. I think like they're going down more into magic and such like as opposed to just pure superheroes, like because Doctor Strange obviously killed it. I think that comes out sometime next. No, maybe not next year. Maybe in a couple of years. And then I think something in the Ten Rings. I think it's called. I think that's like the first big Asian superhero. I think. I'm not entirely sure, but I know that's coming out. Shang-Chi, is it? And the Ten Rings, something like that. But and then there's a couple of others. So I know they're going like they're having a big more variety. And I think because I don't know like during the whole 22 movies that led up to like Endgame, it was like all encompassed by like the Avengers, and as it got further, it brought in the Infinity Stones, and it all melded together, kind of thing. And that was such a huge undertaking and such a huge culmination to Endgame, and or at least like the Avengers, Infinity War saga kind of thing. That's I'm interested if they're gonna attempt a smaller version of that, because I don't think, due to the scale that went, they're gonna ever be able to do that again. Like with even a similar villain, like there's obviously like plethora of villains that they have in their comic book bank, but everything worked together to make that work. So I don't know if they're gonna have like smaller arcs potentially, through a smaller number of films together, or just branch out diversity, do as much as possible, and try and work something in after a long period of time. And then they also need to sort out like a new base of like characters, because all the original Avengers are sort of gone now. Like Iron Man's obviously dead. Captain America's, unless they go back in time. Black Widow, Hawkeye's retired. Hulk's left arm's not working, or right arm, and Thor's sudden off into space with the Guardians of the Galaxy. So it'd be interesting because they need like new basic characters. But I don't know. It's gonna be a weird situation because everything up to now has been like all together. So it's gonna be interesting what they're gonna do. A Black Widow, something I'm looking forward to as well. That looks good, but I know it's getting delayed and delayed and delayed. But I think that should be a good one when it comes out. Another one's The Matrix 4, which I think's we talked about this a bit like several months ago. But I think that's gonna be a weird one, because although there was obviously like certain issues with Revolutions, it was a conclusive end to the trilogy kind of thing and the entire thing. Because I know like there's the Animatrix and a couple of other things. Um, but it's gonna be, I don't know. It's just weird that they've come out with another one. I mean, it's one of the original Wachowskis doing it, obviously alongside some other writers and such like. But um, so it's gonna be like a canon continuation kind of thing, but it's still a bit weird. And who have we got? We've got Neo, Trinity, Niobe, and weirdly the Merovingian all returning. Lawrence Fishburne, who played Morpheus, he's not returning. Asked not to return. And one that's potential is oh my god, what's his name? Agent Smith, played by Hugo Weaving. There we go. He wasn't going to go in the film because of casting difficulties or scheduling conflicts. Yeah. During the filming of the film, God knows how long ago. I think it's like March or something like that. Now, hopefully, I'm just wondering with the amount of delays that's occurred, obviously with not with everything. I wonder if there is an opportunity for him to come into the film now. So much time has passed and so much has potentially maybe opened up, but at the current moment, those two are not in the film. So I'm interested, like how they're gonna go any further with this. I mean, Smith's story sort of ended, didn't it, in 3? Morpheus they could keep in, but like bringing back Trinity must just be for the character, like people that know the character, because obviously she died at the end of the 3rd one. So well, I've got absolutely no idea where they're going to go with this, but I'm interested in the trailer that they're going to bring out. I think that's going to be something to check out, and I imagine the trailer that's going to come out is going to make absolutely no sense. It's either going to make no sense or it's going to be like a too over the top explanation. Yeah, I think it's going to be a weird one. And then a couple just quick mentions. Sherlock Holmes 3, which may not be next year, but maybe the year after, but it was what caught my eye when I was having a gander. So that was the one with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law. This like those two movies were decent. First one I preferred over the second one. They sort of changed a few things, filming style, like even like the thinking scenes in the first one I think were better than the second one. Like there was, I don't know, there was a type of filming they changed with it I just found was a bit weird. But the story of the second one was better. Oh, was it? No, hang on. Am I thinking of something else? Oh no, like I enjoyed Moriarty in the second one, but the story, like everything melded together better in the first one, I think. And I think it was a bit unfortunate with the second one as was it? I don't know. Like the second Moriarty, it was good, but I don't know. It's my own fault. Like I think everyone's thoughts always go now to the Andrew Scott's Moriarty from the TV series because he did such a like a what's it called? Not pivotal, not like a standout performance. There's a better word for it, but that's like the thoughts always go to him now. To do with Moriarty, I think that was what was tripping me up. Although that did work in a bit of a negative during the actual TV series because he did such an amazing job, like during the second season, and well, even just his small performances because he wasn't actually in the series for the first 2 seasons that much, but just was so amazing at the role that they brought him back too much kind of thing. Like, well, they brought him back kind of thing, like for the 4th, like the Christmas special that they did, and then the whole of the 5th season. Which I don't think they needed to do. I think it was like just added in, and I think it could have been left the way it was. Anyway, it's all beeping. But yeah, it's also gonna be weird with how long it's been between Sherlock Holmes 2 and Sherlock Holmes 3 because it must be like 8 years or so. So obviously, the actor's gonna look different, and it's gonna be. You're very mean. Cat's not a fan of each other. Well, actually, no. The mother's just not a fan of the daughter. She's such a moody bully. And you're nicking her spots. Mean bugger. Oh. But anyway, the only other one was The Kingsman, which is the prequel to the Kingsman series. Enjoyed those two films. Very fun films. And interesting how they're going to change it. Going into like the prequel with like Randall Fiennes and having it set. Oh, I can't remember. Like prior back, I guess. That's just another one. Not too much I can talk about it really. I just really enjoy the films, and I really like the way they film them, with like the slow motion and the panning. And you can obviously tell I'm a filmmaking expert. But yeah, those are the ones I'm looking forward to next year. There are a couple of others, but it's just there's so much in the air at the moment to do with obviously publishing and everything in the world in general, really. But yeah, those are the ones. Like I say, I don't know, like this format's like weird compared to how it's been done, how we did it prior, like just during doing the discussions and such like. But there are several things I want to have a natter about. So we're gonna see how it goes. Gonna do some more episodes and try to get this ball rolling again. And hopefully you enjoyed. If you've listened here, I hope you've enjoyed it. We're on social at what tags? I can't remember what tags. I think it's like Twitter at What's On Podcast and everything else. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram at the What's On Podcast. But yeah, there was something else, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So I hope you've enjoyed, and I shall catch you in the next episode.